right. Good morning, good morning, good morning. How are you doing this morning? Let me get everything rolling right here at WCRS Radio. That's right, I'm alive. I hope you are. Been outside with Penny, just investigating. Feels like a early spring day out there, doesn't it? Woo, I tell you what. It is going to be a gorgeous day, and Lord, we deserve a gorgeous day, I do believe. Let's check the weather before we talk about anything else here this morning. Right now, it's 33 degrees out there, 1 degree above freezing. Feels like 33, is 33, and today we're going to have a heat wave, folks. Looking at a high today of 55 degrees, and tonight just a low of 44 degrees, 44 degrees. So a mix of clouds and sun during the morning will give way to cloudy skies this afternoon. Tonight, cloudy with light rain developing after midnight, low of 44. Chance of rain is 80%. However, coming in on Wednesday, rain. High of 51. Winds light and variable. Chance of rain is 90%. Rainfall near half an inch. Oh, come on. Haven't we had enough already? Wednesday night looks like showers in the evening, then cloudy overnight. Low of 34. Still above freezing, folks. Still above freezing. Thursday comes in. Oh, Lord. Thursday comes in with a high of 42. More rain expected. Chance of rain 90%. Again, rainfall near half an inch. And Thursday night looks like Thursday? Are we on Thursday? Yes, here we go. Some clouds early will give way to mainly clear conditions overnight. Low of 26. Now that's below freezing, folks, so that means we could, I guess, be rather slippery. Although Friday, they say we're going to have a high of 57 with sunny skies and a low of 33. Saturday comes in again with sunny skies, high of 59. So that's kind of what you're looking at for the forecast. Looks like Thursday we could get, you could be kind of icy in the morning with a low of 26, but then it's going to dissipate. However, we do have rain coming in, just FYI. So if you've got any slushiness out in your yard or in your driveway or on your decks or whatever, you might want to get out there and sweep them off. Anyways, be careful out there. Be careful. If you have all sunshiny areas, your snow is probably gone. Out here at the WCRS tundra out here, we still have some areas that have snow, and it's creating a lot of joy for Miss Penny. Miss Penny, that's right. So, we got a lot to talk about. Here this morning. Let's see. We've got everything from national news all the way down to local news. Let's see. We've got the Trump Kennedy Center, and my thoughts on why they're closing that down. I don't think it's as altruistic as they're saying, but maybe. We've got the August 23rd, the Indy 500 race. I am truly excited about that. Would love to be able to go to that. We've got today is February 3rd, the day the music died. We'll talk a little bit about that. We've got the Greenwood Democratic newsletter that is out there. A few things I thought you might like to know about that. A little thank you note from Theo Lane with Duke Power, which leads into other conversation. The Lander Film Fest is coming up, and a couple of notes about that. South Carolina judicial reform and Ralph Norman, the trial lawyers lobby, and the South Carolina Republican voters and lawsuit abuse, what's happening there. So I got a lot to talk about here today. Also, we got a little update on Scout Motors, how they're going to deal with the fact that they're just a tad short on money and what they're doing about that. All to me interesting things, but first I did want to give you a little update from City Council met last night. That's right, City Council met last night. They did spend quite a bit of time in an executive session. I will say this. County Council, and many of you know me, you know how I feel about this. County Council seems to spend an inordinate amount of time before they come into their live meeting. Usually 4 o'clock, they go into their executive session, and then they come back at 5:30, come out of executive session. They do this every 2 weeks that they meet. I think I remember one time when they didn't have an executive session. Maybe more, but that's basically it. They always need to have something that they do behind closed doors. And that's okay. That's okay if that's the way they feel is the right way to do it. However, City Council has a different approach. They come and do their meeting. If they truly have something that needs to be behind closed doors, they go into executive session. They come out of executive session and the meeting is still in process. I think just by doing that, it causes whatever time they spend in executive session to be shorter. Why do you say that, Ann? Well, because the meeting is still open. And so if you happen to be watching it on Facebook Live as how they do their meetings, that means that the meeting is live the whole time while it just says executive session. But then they come back and finish the meeting. Now, they may or may not have something to discuss with the public based on their executive session. They also tell us what they're going into executive session for. I find that highly more agreeable to me anyways, because I feel like they're going in there, getting the information that they need, and then they're coming right back out. County Council, and you know this has been one of my bugaboos with County Council, is that every time they have a meeting, in fact, today they have a meeting, they'll be going into executive session at 4 o'clock, and then they'll be coming out of executive session with a short, not saying much of all about what they were in executive session, setting up their meeting so it can run appropriately. Okay, that's the way you want to do it, but that's not exactly what executive session is about. But that's me, Aunt Miller, right here on WCRS. Yesterday at City Council, they had an impassioned, and I mean an impassioned, Sharon Harrison Shaley, I think it is, about dumping trash. This was in the meeting. She was on the agenda. And she discussed how trashy her area is. And even Nikki Hutto agreed that where she lives is, that was in her district, it is difficult. They actually have two thoughts. Number one, people come in and just dump stuff there. And number two, or that there are a lot of apartment complex or apartment houses that are apartments or rental units where the rental unit owner, when somebody moves out, is just taking and dumping the trash. Regardless, Sharon Harrison Shaley said that she was a little tired of it, and that's why she was coming to City Council to try to get an impact on on what could be done and alert people that she was tired of it. She did a great job last night in City Council. Everybody here heard and agreed with her. I'm not sure they actually have answers, but they are working on getting those answers, and this is a constant drumbeat within the city. So that was a interesting part of the meeting last night. T.J. Shadone spoke about the decrease in crime in the city of Greenwood, according to what was it, the 23-24 state figures. It did show that Greenwood had decreased. Not sure what's happening with this year. Since we've already had, two murders? I think 2 murders this year. But they feel they have made some forces, and they have been, they were very proud that their numbers were where they were at, as they should be. The most important thing in City Council last night is that the Office of Resiliency, there is a grant available in order to be able to buy out the people of Fox Hollow. Now, many of you that follow what happens in our city and everything know that Fox Hollow has been an area where probably nothing should have been built because it keeps flooding. This has happened since, 2015? At least. And so they had been working an agreement that would come from, they've worked an agreement where all the people have agreed to sell their property. They will turn this property into green space eventually. The question was, how do you get the money to be able to buy out the people to be able to do this? Well, the city has found a grant through the Office of Resiliency, so that is a state office, and they are going to be able to get this done. What they came to the city last night, Julie Wilkie as city manager and staff, was to make sure that they could proceed. They have spent a lot of time working with the Office of Resiliency, getting all the details worked out. I think they would be able to get, is it $3 million? Or maybe the Office of Resiliency has $3 million. I'm not sure from my notes as I look at it here. However, the county has come on board with offering to put 25%, is that, or to put 300,000 in. I'm not sure how much that, but the county has offered to put in 300,000. I believe that's from the watershed study that they did from the capital sales tax. So they will have the money to do that. So they are going to go ahead and apply for the grant. And it looks like instead of waiting for the FEMA grant that would have probably taken years. Now, they said the FEMA grant was a good one, but it takes years, whereas the Office of Resiliency, because it is a state office, can move much quicker. I'd have to say, I guess there's no absolute guarantee, but it does look good that this would be something that would resolve this. In the end, the city would take possession of the property. The property would become a green space. So that is a good thing. That is a good thing. It's great for the people that have been worried about every time it rained what was going to happen to their property, and to see an end in sight, and that will make a big difference. So the county is going to put in $300,000. The rest of the money will come from the Office of Resiliency, and they did want to say that K-Self and her Vision Greenwood have been very helpful in making that come together, being the bridge, which is what Vision Greenwood does. It's a bridge. It does a lot of good things in our community. Silently, quietly, not silently, quietly behind the scenes. So they do have several hoops to jump through, but that is coming. So that is another good thing that is coming. That was basically it. I do have in my notes here the Kitson Mill, February 10th, but I don't know exactly what that's about. So there must be something else that I need to go back and review. Anyways, that's a little bit about what happened at City Council last night. Cooperation with County Council to come up with funding, $300,000 there, which when you're going for a grant, FYI, if you have some buy-in, then that always looks better for getting the money put together. That's a really, really, really good thing. So that's on a local level. That's what we have. Now, in other news, let's go right over here and see what I have for you here. Oh, that's an interesting article, but we're not going to talk about that one yet. I wonder sometimes why my computer slows down. It may be because I have 20 or so tabs open. But anyways, let's see. What did I want to talk about here this morning? I wanted to talk about, we got a lot of news overnight. Let's see. Well, let's talk about this. We'll come back to the other. All right, this is from the Greenwood Democratic Party. They are excited. This is a newsletter from the Greenwood County Democratic Party. They are excited that the election season has arrived. We've waited 14 months, 440 days to get our lick back at the polls. Now that's an interesting phrase. Not sure I've ever heard that one. The push is on now. Wake up, stand up, speak up, and vote. This is from the Democratic newsletter here in Greenwood. Is a season for us to stand up, stand in protest to what the lawless government is doing. And it goes on and talks about Minnesota, of course, and what's happening there. By the way, ICE is going to start wearing body cams in Minneapolis, in Minnesota. That comes from Kristi Noem. They will be rolling out body cams there with that group of ICE first, and then as money is available, they will start working on other parts, and eventually all ICE officers will wear body cams. I just have one thing to say. This thing in Minneapolis has been a stage thing. If we didn't have sanctuary cities, which who knows if that'll ever happen, if the local police, local law enforcement cooperated with ICE, then there would not be this. If when somebody was picked up and put in jail, instead of being let back out in a revolving door activity that they have in so many of the sanctuary cities, then ICE would just have to come in, pick them up from the jail, take them to the vehicle, and be out of the area, subject done. That isn't the way sanctuary cities do it, and this is where a lot of the rub comes. But we're not getting into that story today. All right, so they are in the Democratic newsletter, as everybody should. Fulfill your civic duty and earn $130 for each election. Work at the polls on Election Day. The next election coming up, June 9th. Then if there is a runoff, and likely to be a runoff simply because we have so many candidates on the Republican side, June 23rd and then November 3rd, and anybody that is interested can apply and see about getting the job to work the polls. So you can call 864-942-8585. That is the Greenwood County Voter Registration and Elections Office. They're having their breakfast meeting this Saturday at 9 a.m. at Morris Chapel Baptist Church, where Mayor Brandon Smith will be speaking to the Democratic Party. Then afterwards, they will have an interactive workshop with tabletop discussions about engaging people within your sphere of influence. They say that this year, 2026, is our year of action. The desire for change in our country and in our state has never been greater. So they would like you, if you would like to go to that, they would like you to go. That is Saturday, February 7th at Morris Chapel Baptist Church. They also will be collecting food for the food drive at their breakfast meeting. And of note, I thought this was an interesting note. The Abbeville Democrats, an eat and meet. I like that, an eat and meet. Abbeville is going to be your chance to speak with Jermaine Johnson for South Carolina and Sylvia Wright for South Carolina Superintendent of Education. So, Jermaine is running for governor on the Democratic side, and Sylvia Wright for South Carolina Superintendent of Education. That is February 7th. And that is an eat and greet hot dog and bake sale. That will be from 11 to 3 at the Lounsville Community Center. So, there you go. Candidate forums to start at 1 p.m. So that is just some interesting parts from the Democratic side of the aisle. Their Greenwood community is doing a pretty good reason for a protest. They'll be doing that in Greenwood Saturday, February 7th from 3 to 5 p.m., where they usually do their protests on the corner of Main Street and Court Street East, uptown, rain or shine. So this is standing in solidarity with Minnesota. There you go. That's a little bit of news from the Democratic side of the aisle. Thought it was interesting and worthy to be shared. I also want to talk about Theo Lane and a news release that he put out. He said he wanted to thank you to Carolina customers for conserving energy during extreme cold on Monday morning. So Duke Energy and Theo put a note in it. I personally did all I could to conserve, and many of you obviously did also. So the news release says that Duke Energy, thank you, Carolina customers, for conserving energy during an extremely cold on Monday morning. Customers' conservation, hello, Ann, made a meaningful difference today, said Gerald Wilson, Duke Energy Vice President of Grid Operations. Grid operations. All right. We appreciate every household and business that adjusted their routines to help manage energy demands on the grid through this period of unusual cold. And we're grateful for the support from local, state, and federal officials who helped encourage conservation. Our teams continue to work around the clock to ensure our power plants and grid remain ready to meet our customers' energy needs. Duke Energy is in a strong position to reliably meet customer demand for the rest of the week and continues efforts to add its diverse energy mix to support economic growth and increased energy needs across the Carolinas. Isn't that interesting? That we are at a point where we're looking at adding new data centers, that we are looking at a point on what is going to be the energy of the future. And yet, is there a plan? Or is the plan just, well, you already have energy, we're working on other energy, so we need to be able to expand, but we don't actually have all the approvals. And I think a lot of this does come down to how we are how we are moving forward in our state and even on a national level with handling the needs of our communities. You know, there's a lot of emphasis in putting solar farms in. They're not really a farm, but anyways, these solar farms in. And are those really the answer? Are those really the answer? Is that really a good fit for what we're doing here? Somebody would have to go a long way to trying to prove to me that it is a positive thing. The amount that it costs to put these in versus what you get back out of it seems to be heavily loaded towards, of course, the operation of it. Anyways, there's a lot of discussion. I've read some interesting articles. I'm not really going to try to go into it today. But our obligation is to look at these data centers. There's talk about putting mini nuclear reactors with them. Will that really solve the problem? And are we looking at it as a case by case, or are we looking at it how it affects the whole state, for example, and then how it affects the nation? How many times have we sat here being totally smug, shall we say, with our situation here in South Carolina versus the rolling blackouts that they had in California? I certainly don't want to be like California. So I think that there needs to be a lot more discussion about this, a lot more thoughtfulness put into where we are going. Now, for example, tonight at County Council, they are going to have another meeting. It's another meeting, a zoning request for another housing development to come in. And don't you know that part of the subject is going to be, how can we be putting more housing developments in if we can't even afford to keep the people that already have power having power? This is truly going to be a subject of concern, and rightfully so. So, what do you think about all this? 864-332-9355. This is your opportunity to get involved in a conversation. How do you feel about it? Are you okay with the fact that we keep having to, I'll use the word, stress our services? CPW, Duke Power, Metro, all of these things. Are you okay with having this, all these things have to be stressed? Are they stressed? That is the question. Are they actually stressed? I don't know, but I do know that is going to become a valid topic here about what you are going to do about the power situation, whether it's Greenwood, whether it's Columbia, Myrtle Beach, South Carolina in general. How are we dealing with that, not only on a local level, but on a state level and then a national level? And how at risk is our grid nationally? I can remember when Jeff Duncan was in office, how concerned he always was about our grid. So that is something we will be discussing futuristically more. All right, moving on. Another topic here this morning. You are listening to WCRS right here in Greenwood, South Carolina. Yes, I am Ann Eller. Yes, I am concerned about what happens in our community, which is why I watch and listen and get input on different topics right here affecting our community. Let's see. I tell you what. Let's see. I'm going to cross that out. All right. I tell you what. I think it is totally exciting about the Indy 500 race in D.C. I'm probably going to be talking about this forever, folks. And it's not till August 23rd, but they literally are going to turn the streets of D.C. into an indie course like they've done in Las Vegas, like they've done in other areas. Wasn't that cool? And that, of course, is to celebrate our 250th anniversary. I don't know how they'll do it, but I think it's really cool. And the buy-in, it's kind of like the fighting that's going to, what's it called? All the different type of fight that's going to be put up a ring and everything on the lawn there at the White House. You know, though, I think about these things, and then I wonder, what will 100 years from now, will the people be thinking about how we celebrated ourselves at 250 years? And what will 50 years or even 100 years later show? Do you ever think about things like that? No, Ann, I don't really think about that. Okay, well, I just thought I'd mention it. I mean, these people, our ancestors, at the 250th anniversary, were running Indy cars through Washington, D.C. What the heck were they thinking? Come on, I think that's an interesting topic. 864-332-9355, 864-332-9355. What do you think? Yep. Okay. Well, I'm going to get back to that. We just had a comment about what I was talking about with county housing, county, and house building, zoning, etc. We'll talk about that in just a second. Thank you for that message. Love for everybody to weigh in. Should they keep approving more houses? And where does it fall? Here's the other thing now. Where does it fall as far as a responsibility of you as a private property owner to sell big stretches, 5, 10, 20 acres of land to be converted into homes? Where is the rub? How much control should city or county council have over this? I think that is the question. And that is a question that always needs to be in our forefront. We may not like it, but does somebody have the right to be able to do this? To be able to come up with what money that they want to sell their property, and if somebody has a need, that is supposed to be the capitalistic society. Now, the type of building maybe should be something that should be discussed. Maybe that is something that should be discussed, right? But do they have the right? Do they have the right to be able to say that, no, you can't sell your property, or what it's always for, I don't know. I think it's an interesting, goes to rights and everything else that people have the rights to do. All right, what else was I looking for here this morning? Today the music died. Remember the 3 members that were killed in the airplane crash? Remember that? Well, this is the day that this happened. Yeah, what was it? Who was it that was in that? Buddy Holly? 3 rock and rollers were killed. On February 3rd, 1959, American rock and roll musicians Buddy Holly, Ritchie Valens, and the Big Bopper, J.P. Richardson, were all killed in a plane crash. That was a horrible, horrible, horrible day. To have been alive and been on the music scene had to have been something that just kind of stopped you in your tracks. And of course, Don McLean wrote "The Day the Music Died" after Don McLean wrote that song from America Such in his 1971 song, American Pie. And of course, our local musicians came together and did a version of that song during, it was really during COVID, wasn't it? It was very, very, very creative. And each one of our local artists that were involved in this project did a video clip, and they did it with Don McLean's blessing, which I think was pretty cool too. So, very, very sad day at that time. Holly and his band, consisting of Waylon Jennings. Waylon Jennings was part of Buddy Holly's band. Tommy Allsup and Carl Bunch were playing on the Winter Dance Party Tour across the American Midwest. And rising artists Valens Richardson and vocal group Dion and the Belmonts had joined the tour as well. So the long journeys were cold, and so they even had some airplanes. And of course, this is what happened in 1959, February 3rd, 1959. Wanted to mention that. Let's go ahead and hear a quick word from our sponsors. We'll be right back. I am Ann Eller, and I want you to know I got a couple more topics you don't want to miss here this morning. You can really begin to see how interrelated a lot of what happens in Colombia is. And I want to discuss that with you a little bit, because I think that you're going to find that this is a most interesting story that is, of course, going to need more discussion. But I just thought we might spend a little time. I spent a lot of time reading a couple of articles last night, and so I would like to share those, my impressions of those two articles with you when we come back. You are listening to WCRS right here in Greenwood. Yes, I'm Ann Eller. Yes, we're going to hear a few words from our great sponsors that make all this possible. Don't forget, you need to sign up to win a DQ Valentine cake. We'll be giving it away on February 14th, Saturday, during Trash to Treasures. It's easy. All you got to do, well, take a listen. Sign up today. You could win a Dairy Queen Valentine ice cream cake for someone you love. Just go to WCRSradio.com/Valentine with your name and who you want to surprise. Winners announced on Valentine's Day from Dairy Queen and WCRS.
At Greenwood Pathway House, we are a Christian ministry that helps people make changes in their life so that they can overcome homelessness permanently. Helping those who were living in Greenwood or Abbeville County at the time they became homeless, we provide residents with the support and training they need to build functional lives, obtain employment, and move into their own homes. Visit our website at gwdpathway.org or call us at 223-4460 to learn how you can make Greenwood and Abbeville stronger by helping people from our area overcome homelessness.
This February, let your heart decide at the Greenwood YMCA. New members will get to pick a heart and discover their special YMCA perk. Will it be a free month or zero joiner's fee? Either way, your heart wins. From group fitness and family fun to healthier habits and stronger communities, the Y is where you belong. Visit the Greenwood YMCA or join online today. The Y. There's no place like this place.
Self Regional Healthcare is currently hiring for clinical and support staff positions. At Self Regional, we strive to create the best experience for our patients and our team members. We offer flexible schedules, competitive pay, and generous benefits in an environment that is supportive of your individual needs. Come see what makes Self Regional a great place to work. View our current job openings at selfregional.org/careers.
The Harley Family Center is the perfect location for small memorial services or small gatherings after a service. Reservations are also available for birthday parties, showers, family gatherings, business meetings, and more. They have everything on hand, whether you want to have your event catered or handle it yourself. Know they are there to help cover every aspect you desire. For more info, call Rick Brewer at 864-229-3300 That's 229-3300. The Harley Family Center, 1101 Main Street South, Greenwood.
I'm little but I'm loud, dangerous, proud. I don't really care if people stop and stare. Little but I'm loud. I ain't fooling around. Just ask anybody here in town. Lift me up, don't turn me down. I rise above the crowd. Little but I'm loud.
Oh, yeah, I'm little, but I'm loud. At least I've got a voice back now, folks. It's not perfect, but it's getting there. It's getting there. Hey, I am Ann Eller. This is WCRS Radio. We're also live on Facebook here today. Been having an interesting conversation. So much information, so little time. I try to pack a lot into each show. Also a sad day for anybody that ever liked Jeremiah was a bullfrog. Yes, it's true. Jeremiah was a bullfrog, 3 Dog Night. So many of those concerts back in the day. I can remember being in college and being out there dancing at 2 o'clock in the morning. Yeah. Woo! Oh, my voice did pretty good on that. Anyways, Chuck Negron, founding member of One and Till the World Ends Rockers, 3 Dog Night, has died. He was 83 years old. He died Monday, February 2nd at his home in Los Angeles, Studio City neighborhood from heart failure and chronic obstructive pulmonary disease complications. So that was one of the members of the band, and I tell you what, back in the day, they put out some great music, according to me. There you go. Jeff, I can tell you this. You'll like this. Jeremiah Was a Bullfrog was Jeff's company's theme song. When I met Jeff, they had a theme song. He was writing position papers for government affairs. And their theme song was, Jeremiah was a bullfrog, was a good friend to me. Craziness. What happened? That's what I want to know. What happened? All right, we got time for, I guess I'm not going to have time to get to my story about judicial reform and what South Carolina voters, what we're going to be doing. There are some interesting crossovers that I have read about and wanted to discuss, but it's going to take longer than I actually have since Penny's decided she'd like to have breakfast sometime soon. So I am going to talk about this one story because this affects all of us. Scout Motors, you may remember that a couple of weeks ago there was a story that they needed $150 million, the state did, to accomplish what they were doing in site preparation. Now, they've cited that it was getting approval, project approvals, zoning, getting the site ready, all this type of stuff. So, South Carolina Commerce Leader Harry Lightsey has just asked the South Carolina General Assembly for another $150 million for Scout Motors. The company has already gotten $1.3 billion, including $400 million in cash. We're told this is from Fitz News. This latest bailout is actually much bigger. Sources familiar with the situation say Scout's hole is actually deeper than the company is letting on. Commerce budgetary requests on behalf of Scout comes at the worst possible time for the company, which recently reshuffled its corporate lobbying lineup in an effort to rebuild badly damaged relationships within the South Carolina General Assembly. Yeah, like opening your corporate office in North Carolina instead of where South Carolina has made this huge commitment. 2 months ago, Scout announced its intention to locate its new corporate headquarters in Charlotte, North Carolina, bringing in an estimated 1,200 high-paying corporate jobs and $200 million in capital investment into the Queen City. Scout chose Charlotte for its headquarters over Charleston, South Carolina, an abject humiliation for Governor Henry McMaster, who oversees SCDOC and has dutifully we just won't say that. Lawmakers view Scout's decision as a slap in the face to the Palmetto State, which failed to negotiate the headquarters component of the company's overall capital investment 3 years ago. During a budget subcommittee meeting held in Columbia on Tuesday, January 29th, Lightsey told lawmakers a big part of his agency's budget request was tied to environmental offsets associated with the construction of Scout's manufacturing complex. Large industrial projects which involve projected environmental impacts often include requirements for the company getting the incentives to purchase land for conservations as a means of offsetting those impacts. Oftentimes, state agencies will purchase the land for them, part of the hidden drain on taxpayers associated with those market-distorting subsidies. Specifically, Lightsey cited a stream mitigation project in the Sumter National Forest scheduled for completion in 2028, although he declined to elaborate on specific costs tied to the project. They also talked about the 5,000 acres that were down there on 5,000 acres on the Congaree River, where the goal is to build a new state park. A new state park. Is the Republican supermajority really going to force taxpayers to build a new state park because the woke globalist company it bribed to come here can't make good on its promises? This is again from Fitz News. According to sources at Fitz News, those costly environmental mitigation projects combined with the aforementioned cost overruns at Scout's manufacturing site have riled lawmakers. Frustrations only mounted after lawmakers reportedly discovered that the federal government, namely the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, signed off on Scout's facility permitting only to have state agencies continue to screw around with the offsets. Yep. Our own bureaucracies are holding us hostage, a lawmaker familiar with the environmental offset. McMaster is not only pushing for Scout to receive this additional bailout, he is continuing to push legislation which could give the EV automaker an undeserved leg up on its competitors by ensconcing it as the only vehicle manufacturer permitted to bypass the Palmetto State's established dealer marketplace. McMaster is continuing to seek an additional $100 million in reoccurring now annual funding for EV industry scholarships from the South Carolina Education Lottery. Who has their thumb on the scales here now? That's what I want to know. The tab keeps growing, in other words, with no end in sight and no indication the Scout facility project is to live up to its lofty promises of 4,600 new jobs and $3 billion in capital investment. So, South Carolina made its massive investment in Scout at a time when the EV market was already showing signs of collapse, which is probably why no other state seriously entertained the project, save Mississippi, which offered a comparatively small $150 in total investments. This has poisoned the incentive process. So, they are asking for another $150 million. That's the bottom line here. Plus, they've taken some money out of their budget make this come together, and still we don't have things ready to go. And as the article, we talked about the other article, they were supposed to have this going, what was it, 2027, and they had 130,000 vehicles already sold, I guess, with deposits. That would be some of the first ones off the South Carolina site, and now that's in jeopardy. So where does it stand? It doesn't look like South Carolina made that good an investment, and the very fact that they keep pushing this on the taxpayers at a time where we need to be looking at other things to protect ourselves. I'm sure that the money is still going to come through for this because South Carolina is so far into it. But is the fact that Charlotte became their headquarters and South Carolina became the manufacturing plant really right? I say not. Anyways, I wanted to bring you that update. I did want to talk about this other stuff, but there just isn't time. I have some very, very, very interesting information for you on the judicial reform, how it's tied to some other stuff. And when you hear about this and the truckers and the insurance, oh my God, it is an unbelievable subject. All right. We did have a couple of messages come in here this morning on some of the things we've been talking about. Let's see. One of the messages that came in, I think it's a horrible idea for these companies to come here and build these cheaply constructed cookie-cutter homes, sell them at such high prices when we don't even have enough people in Greenwood that can afford to purchase them. Well, I would say that the issue that the county council is taking is that if you don't offer up places for these builders to be able to build in Greenwood County, then they say that these places will be built outside of Greenwood County, and the counties outside the area will get the tax revenue, and people will just come into Greenwood to work. Okay, that's one side of it. And the other part of it is, should people that want to sell their property for a profit, when developers want to come in and develop the property, should they be able to do it? That is another side of the coin, and I think the answer is yes, you should be able to sell your property. Yes, you should be able to make a profit. The question is, what type of houses should be able to be built? What type of houses should be built? I think that is the question. So, one of the things that is happening at County Council tonight, they are talking about zoning. And they are looking for people to be at the county council meeting this evening. And I just want to read you this right here. Sherry Lewis made a post on Facebook. Hello, fellow concerned citizens. Hope you are enjoying the snow. Please see the attached link and read the minutes of what they are planning to do on February 3rd at the Greenwood County Library, 5:30, regarding the zoning. Now they're trying to change the R2 part of the property, a master planned residential. We have to gather the forces once again, February 3rd. This could include, but not limited to, open to other investors and builders to do the following, from what I understand. Again, this is a post on Facebook from Sherry Lewis. This could include the residential options, diverse housing mix, single-family homes, luxury estates, and gated enclaves, and townhome villas and condos. This is probably what he meant when he used the term workaround agenda. This is the people. It's kind of nice that the people are starting to wake up. On their agenda, they have an executive session, which we've already mentioned, at 4 p.m. To discuss some of the contractual arrangements, proposed location and expansion or the provision of services, discussion regarding the development of security personnel or devices. They have a public comment meeting, and then recognition of STAR 2025 STAR employees, presentation of Safe Streets for All grant, public hearing. Let's see, ordinance removing parcels from the Fern Cliff Special District. Consideration of the recommendation to select somebody to reserve on a construction manager at risk. Ordinance to amend the Greenwood County zoning map as and if amended so that 2 parcels of land totaling approximately 46.48 acres, 46.5 acres, at 615 Old Abbeville Highway, Greenwood County, changes from R2 single family residential to master planned residential. That is going to be a first reading with Carol Coleman. And then they have another one, ordinance to amend the Greenwood County zoning map as and if amended so that 1 parcel of land, approximately 1 acres at 915 Salem Church Road, changes from Rural Development District to C1 Neighborhood Commercial Title only. The big one is this second one, B, which is to take roughly 46.5 acres at 615 Old Abbeville Highway in Greenwood, changes from R2 single family residential to master planned residential. That is what people are up in arms about because of what they are trying to do here. So, if you are interested in what happens to the property, maybe you're in that area, you need to be at the meeting. I think one post that I saw, maybe it was from somebody else, said that this person would speak, and I don't remember who it was. This person would speak, and she simply wanted to be able to turn around to have people in the audience raise their hands that they are against it, trying to make a force that county council should not just approve things because they are looking at the money from the tax dollars. And after all, isn't that what Greenwood County is looking at? Tax dollars in. How much tax dollars can they get in so they'll have more money to spend? And that, my friends, is the issue. Have you ever noticed that the more money you have to spend, the more money you spend? Well, the same is as of the government. We see it in our local governments. We see it in our state government. We see it in our federal government. If there's more, and in your personal budgets, isn't that what life is about? Oh, we have more money. Let's spend more money. Not all things are good for that. So I will be interested to be watching it. I'll be watching it on YouTube. But I thought you might want to be at this meeting or be there this evening. If you are passionate about what happens to our community, if you're thinking this is a bad thing for Greenwood to change the zoning, evidently it was single family, and now they would like to be able to have more possibilities to change it to a residential. Let's see, this could include and not limited to open to other investors and builders to do the following from what this was written by Sherry Lewis. Residential options, diverse housing mix, single family homes, luxury estates, and gated enclaves and townhome villas and condos. This is probably what he meant when he used the term workaround. You have a right to be involved in the process. If you bypass the process, then it is only your own fault when things don't go the way you would like. Thoughtful conversation. I can't wait to see the little lady that always goes on, where are the people coming from? Where are the people coming from for these house buying? Anyways, that's a few of the things that I had from today. As I said, I had a lot more. I was ready for Bear here today, and time got away from me. So you'll have to tune in tomorrow where we'll be discussing county council, what happens in county council. No decision, I guess, will actually be made on this. This is only first reading. But it is your opportunity to stand up and be counted. Get to county council. I think you have to sign up by noon, if I'm correct on this, if you'd like to speak, unless they open it during the public hearing that they have, which I think sometimes they do, where you can speak in favor or against. Should be an interesting night at Greenwood County Council. Executive session at 4. General session, open session starts at 5:30. Be there. Be part of the process. I'm Ann Eller. I'll be watching. I'll be listening. I'll be bringing you details tomorrow morning. By the way, today's Tuesday, tomorrow afternoon, Alan Wilson will be joining us on Meet Me at the Diner. Thursday morning, Pamela Evett will be joining us on the I Love Ann show. So we've got a lot going on, and we'll be doing Facebook Live, so we'll see how it goes. Hope you'll tune in. You know you've been listening to me, Ann Eller, with Princess Penny here. Ready for breakfast. What's the problem here? Get me my breakfast. I want breakfast. So do I, Penny. So do I. That's going to do it for me. This is WCRS Radio right here in Greenwood. By the way, every day we try to post these on our website, WCRS1450am.net. Don't forget, you can always let me know what you're thinking or about an event just by doing this. Oops. Hello! Want to leave a voice message during a show? Have a news tip or event to report? Use the new WCRS tip line, 864-332-9355. Text or voice, I'll be sure to get it right here on WCRS. Again, 864-332-9355. Oh, that's right. Call me. You can leave a voice message. You can leave a text. I always get it. It's great during the show because it does come in through as a text. I can see it right there. And I don't want you to forget, this weekend is the 14th. Is it that right? Is this Valentine's Day? No, it's next weekend. You got plenty of time. All right, but I want you to sign up for the DQ Valentine giveaway. That's right, we're giving away an ice cream cake right here on WCRS, a red velvet ice cream cake. All you got to do is, and here I am playing the harmonica. Sign up today. You can win a Dairy Queen Valentine ice cream cake for someone you love. Just go to WCRSradio.com/Valentine with your name and who you want to surprise. Winners announced on Valentine's Day from Dairy Queen and WCRS. That's going to do it for me. This is WCRS. Take it away. Put the curtain down, Ann.